around though for Sneaky.
I think this is a really cool pick by them. It's not something Sneaky even played during the regular season, and it's actually something I was looking for the other regions to bring out of All-Stars, because BB and Piglet were AD carries that play it prolifically.
Yeah.
And it was actually banned in the last game. So Sneaky pulling it off in this game just shows that he's been practicing and he knows the top picks.
So for Fnatic then, of course, their final two picks looking for a top and mid lane, and we can see Peke there not looking his happiest. I was watching the player cams in their last game as well, and Soaz looked very, very down on how that all went down for them. We'll see this Shyvana returning to a champion that he's played sporadically throughout the season so far. Orianna will be locked in as well.
They went with these two picks, and it's going to heavily influence their playstyle when you compare it with how they did against OMG. This is not a poke composition. While it has poke aspects, it's very much a team that can teamfight. They're going to look for a completely different game plan here, knowing they can go in with the Orianna and Shyvana and try to pull off some combos.
And the last time actually that Orianna was played for Peke was way back actually in the European LCS in a defeat to Alliance. Funnily enough, that was their last defeat in that horrible run that they had after beating everyone and then going on to lose. That was an Orianna game for him there, as I said, a loss to them. Final pick here though for Cloud9 for the top lane of Balls is going to be Trundle. Yeah,
even though Balls has his most played Renekton Shyvana, he's undefeated on Trundle 4-0. Obviously Cloud9 has a lot of very impressive records, because if you include the playoffs, they were 29-4 in the North American LCS. So it's a little bit skewed here. What this really means as far as team compositions go is that fnatic is actually a little bit outside their comfort zone, playing a bit more of an initiation style, whereas Cloud9 is still very much at home with what they've been doing. The only new thing is a Twitch, but that is because that's what Sneaky's been practicing. That's what he's going to be comfortable with. It's really going to come down to, I think, which fnatic shows up, the one that is on the giant losing streak or the one that wins the European split, and how Cloud9 adapts to lane, because these team comps don't really have huge advantages one way or the other.
And that's the thing about Fnatic, you know, we say that they always produce on the highest levels. They've done so traditionally when it comes to the European LCS, of course, 3 splits that they've had, won all 3 of them as well. Worlds, they managed to get pretty far as well. So we'll see if they can turn around that favor, as I think it was Frequent mentioned earlier on. They've traditionally lost games and then gone on to win them afterwards. And then beat Cloud9 specifically. So we'll see if their fortunes change with this one. When those champions selected, head to Twitter and guys, let us know which jungler you think will have the biggest impact in this game. Tweet #Cyanide or #Meteos and send those to @LOL Esports. For you, we've got Meteos on that undefeated Elise pick once again.
I think if Cloud9 is going to win specifically, it's going to be Meteos making the biggest impact. Specifically with him having to pick up more slack, I feel like with Link in the mid lane. Proud, of course.
They're on fire today.
They're going to be a little cheery for Fnatic whenever anything big happens, but honestly, if Cloud9 is to succeed, Meteos has to destroy on Elise, and Cyanide had a fantastic Kha'Zix game against OMG in defeat, so it's going to be a good matchup.
So here we go then, in-game, it's Fnatic versus Cloud9. A big rivalry, North American champions versus European champions. And look at this, right now at level 1, Fnatic are looking to set something up with a 5-man push to make that now as Yellow Star comes down towards the Tribush. We've seen quite a lot of level 1 action here today already.
More than I would have expected.
Yeah.
For sure. Obviously these trinkets still on the 2-minute cooldown at the start of the game, so a lot of guesswork coming in early, and against a Morgana, you have to be very careful about where you go.
Especially if you're going to stack up as well, those dark bindings become all the more easy to hit, let's call it, if you're all grouped up in there together. Fnatic at the moment, see, just keeping 1 man in the Tribush, the others were waiting off to the side, but obviously Fnatic feel like there's maybe nothing for the immediate take in there, but from positioning here, looks like they're at least going to be going up to get a ward if in that blue buff area, if not stick around and take it.
And the laning matchups, as far as will we see AD carries play against each other, will be kind of the team's choices here. I talked with a lot of the pros over the weekend about exactly why we see so many lane swaps. Obviously the how has been discussed a bunch and is still, everyone has a different opinion, but the why is if there's any risk of your 2v2 lane not winning, they just swap. because that will skip the laning phase. And then as we've seen today in the All-Stars, every regional team has a slightly different take on the optimal way to swap, whether it's the 4-0, whether it's the heavier counter jungle strategy with slightly less pushing, which will give more farm to your top laner and your AD carry, or what Cloud9 and fnatic decide to do right here.
Well, we are going to be seeing 2 versus 2 down on the bottom lane here. Reckless and Yellow Star versus Sneaky and Lemon Nation. Fits in with our featured matchup as well. Going to see how these guys keep in there and whether they stick around in this lane or do a switch the first time that they end up recalling.
Yeah, but fnatic probably won the mind game here, unless Meteos reads that he wants to go steal the blue, and surprisingly, he's actually trending towards that direction. So junglers are going to end up trading buffs, and we're going to get those standard lanes that I've actually been waiting to see for a while from these guys.
Certainly a change from the norm nowadays, we can safely say. Those lane swaps becoming all the more prolific. There is Meteos doing the fnatic blue one. He's in no danger right now. Got a ward just below him. Cyanide, of course, is already done that blue and is back over on towards his red. There's a nice little bit of work from Yellow Star. The poke of Karma proving a little bit difficult so far for Cloud9.
Yeah, and Karma Graves has a tremendous amount of just straight up damage. Karma in particular is probably the strongest support level 1 through 2 because she can empower her abilities right off the bat. Meteos trying a very early gank in top lane. He loves to support balls more so than almost any other jungler. Done
well there to land the cocoon onto Soaz, but you already saw Ball's not really following up from that one. It was just a case of showing your presence, make Soaz feel a little bit more under pressure. Should know that Soaz already used his teleport. Of course, he was in the Cloud9 jungle earlier with his own jungler and is now teleported to that top lane, so that's not available for him. Balls does still have his though, so keep an eye on that if anything breaks out, for example, down in this bottom lane where the 2v2s are stacking up. Cloud9 seem very happy to just sit back here on their own turret and get those last hits off without taking too much damage and risk being too far up the lane.
They're going to get a little bit pushed in, and in all honesty, the Twitch scales much better than the Graves does. So if they can sit at their turret, trade farm, not die, and not get the turret pushed, everything is going as planned because they're actually not very gankable from that position, and it will open up Meteos to make a few more moves.
This mid lane being very, very quiet, despite being a lane which we have to keep a big eye on, that we want to keep a big eye on. Having Link here in for Cloud9 as High is out, of course, and best wishes to him, by the way, if he is watching. Reckless going to get hit here with the Dark Binding, but again, it's only a little bit of follow-up damage to come out there from the Twitch. They have moved away from that turret now, pushing this lane much further out than before.
fnatic actually wants Cloud9 to overcommit here because they have Cyanide waiting in the wings. Cyanide hasn't shown himself on the map really until this moment if he decides to go in with that Karma Tether. Very aggressive. That'll kind of tip off that someone's coming.
You can see the shield come out there from Lemon Nation. Cyanide gonna jump into it though. Lemon Nation flashes away. Reckless trying to get involved. The poke not quite landing there, and they're unable to turn that gank into a kill for them. But it just shows that Cloud9 have to be real careful with how far they come up the lane.
Yeah, each member of Cloud9's bottom lane burned a summoner, but Reckless also burned his flash, which will make him much more vulnerable if Meteos decides to go down there. It is a trade in the advantage of fnatic, but it definitely wasn't free.
So this mid lane then, farm very, very even. Peke with this wave will take a slight advantage, and Meteos, knowing that Cyanide was down on that bottom side of the map, is quite happy right now to just take as much farm away as possible from Cyanide's jungle. Got a 5 CS lead from that, just to give you the early stats on how those two players are in fact doing right now.
Something that I find really interesting about these two regions, actually, and it will reflect a little bit in these playstyles, is the European region, just overall, compared to North America, had higher farm, lower kill games, with much more just longer laning phases where farming was more of a priority of killing. And when we see this laning phase, you would kind of expect Peke to be more at home against Link and be able to outfarm him. He averaged 79 CS a 10 during the regular season, whereas Link averaged 73. And Link is actually one of the only mid laners in this tournament whose opponents average more CS in the lane than him, because he is a very macro team-focused mid laner, whereas Peke is fantastic in lane as well.
Really interesting what impact Link is going to have. We heard already from Monte Cristo earlier on about the whole difference in calling styles between Link's native CLG and how High has been doing that traditionally here for Cloud9. And going to be very, very interesting how they've had this little bit of time to prepare and how who's adjusted really to the style.
And if we're going to see the impacts of that, Joe, it's going to be after 9 minutes. because that's when the game really usually starts to break down. If this laning phase extends, we're not going to see the impacts of that until they start roaming around, because Hai is the person that tells everyone where to go. And as soon as they have to start moving around the map, that's when it's going to make a big impact, whether or not Link can step up, because that's actually been one of Fnatic's strengths for their entire existence.
Well, so far, in terms of map movement, Cyanide has definitely been a jungler that's had more presence in these lanes. Was down in the bottom lane a couple of times, is now up towards the top side of the map. Meteos, apart from that repel into, you know, not a dangerous gank, is what I'm trying to say. He's been farming quite heavily in this one.
He is definitely a jungler who specializes in efficiency more than anything else, and he absolutely shows a tendency to gank the top lane. One thing I am also really interested in this game is Cloud9 opting for the standard lanes is something they actually did all 3 games in their dominating finals victory over Team Solomid. Because almost the entire regular season, people were talking about how great they were at rotations and how they would just out-tactics other teams, and they weren't great individually. Then they stomped TSM 3 times in a row standard lanes. They're actually still doing that style against Fnatic, kind of trying to just bring the game down to individual skill in the lanes because they're confident in themselves.
We've seen Yellowstar down on that bottom side, constantly trying to get in there and tether up Sneaky, which of course completely countered from Lemon Nation's Morgana choice here with that Black Shield, stopping all the CC coming into it. The farm down in that bottom lane is incredibly close, in fact bang even, as we really touch on that one. Little bit of a difference in item choices here from the start though. We see the BF Sword, Doran's Blade start for Reckless. On the other side, Sneaky going for the Vamp Scepter early.
There's a good chance Sneaky will go Blade of the Rune King off that Vamp Scepter, whereas Reckless is absolutely going Bloodthirster, but the fact that he could save up for his BF Sword will give him an immediate trade advantage if they ever do decide to fight and go all in against each other. That's what Reckless wants to do against Sneaky, is go all in and out-trade.
So here are those first blue buffs being exchanged. Meteos once again is going to come to this top lane. Soaz does have his ultimate and a flash available, and once again Balls just getting a bit of damage down there. Meteos will for a second time actually land in here.
The
ultimate Cyanide's coming in here. Will they be able to get in? Good repel from Meteos. Cyanide down to less than half HP. They need to be real careful about this one. Balls going low. He actually flashes out with that one, and now Meteos flashes in. There's a flash away. Cyanide turns it around. First blood fanatic. Crazy fight in the top lane.
Absolute skill matchup right there in the top lane with Fnatic coming out on top. They baited that in not once, but twice. The first time was just to wait for Sana to come there. So they actually ended up starting that one late, and then they pulled Meteos all the way into the turret to get that kill.
We hear there, the crowd here, as we said, definitely a lot of Fnatic fans in the house. And well, to be honest, when you've got 2 French players on your team and you're playing in France, it's definitely something that you can come to expect. They get the first blood. We're about to hit the 10-minute mark. If you look at the global goal, 13.4 to 13,000. So a half a thousand gold, which is 500 if you're used to normal numbers. Good start here for Fnatic. Slower paced game though because of these more standard or older standard lanes, I guess we can say now.
Yeah, definitely not an accelerated game that we've been so used to seeing. Meteos, though, is just continuing to put time into this top lane as usual.
And there is another Cocoon coming in, but again, they don't want to go underneath that tower. Soaz had his ultimate back available. Flash was burnt, of course, in that last encounter, so didn't have that for him. And just playing it very calm, I think, in that top lane. Not panicking and just diving straight out there instantly. And that one, we'll see if Meteos continues to try and give Balls the advantage. And we can say that so far it's working out nicely for them. The 20 CS lead for Balls in that top lane.
It's exactly what Meteos and the rest of Cloud9 have tried to do. They focus on using Balls as their asset because he was far and away the strongest top laner in North America. Soaz, though, is a spectacular player in his own right, and to me it shows that Fnatic really does their homework against Cloud9. There's a reason they tend to have their number in international competition. Cyanide being there for the counter gank is just them predicting that Meteos is going to help out Balls even more so, and they cannot let Balls get ahead of Soaz, otherwise it plays right into Cloud9's hands.
And that trend you mentioned earlier of Link losing out on farming this direct 1 versus 1 comparison in mid lane, that trend's continuing. 20 CS lead is what Peke has currently over Link, both players are working their way up towards that. Athenes and are in very similar positions when it actually comes to item builds. If we actually look now down at the 280 carry builds, we see that the BF sword has been picked up a little bit earlier, of course. Paul Reckles already talked about that. Got his Vamp Scepter now, so straight up towards that Bloodthirster. Sneaky on the other side, going for that Blade of the Ruin King start. As we see Pecky and Cyanide coming towards the top.
A lot of people
going to go in, and the Shockwave, he's pulled the trigger far too early on that one.
That was them trying a little bit too hard to stop what Balls and Meteos are up to, and it will actually give a bit of breathing room to Link in the mid lane. This is the beginning of the map movement. It's 12 minutes in now. We're going to see higher level champions, more explosive skills, and with the items being completed, this is when the map movement becomes even more important. And if High's weakness is going to show through, it's going to show through now.
And look at this, Cyanide and Meteos pretty much mirroring each other here in positioning. Easier when there's a ward on top, that's a good jump away. The Cocoon already flying over direction Cyanide. Here is a push in the bottom lane. Yellow Star gonna get the stun off there onto Lemon Nation, and Sneaky now being completely isolated from his teammate. Is he gonna be able to finish him off though? Didn't even use the ultimate there. Sneaky also had a heal, had his flash available if needed.
That was a really slick trade there by Yellow Star, isolating Lemon Nation from Sneaky. It was really just a play on good AD carry mechanics from both sides, because when Lemon Nation got caught, it pulled Sneaky up, because that's the main way you stop people from hitting your support, is you show threat onto the other AD carry. As soon as that happened though, the wall got in the way, Lemon Nation had to split, and they could jump right onto Sneaky, burning them both to fairly low health. They did have a fair amount of health potions ticking though, and they're starting to heal back up to try and negate the effect of that really nice trade.
And both of the AD carries, of course, got decent amounts of lifesteal in there as well, so shouldn't be having problems. Here we see Meteos. First time, actually, that he'll be coming down towards his bottom lane. Let's see fnatic get lured into this one, and it looks like they will. Meteos moving forward from this one. Yellow Star
no
gonna
flash.
be getting stunned up. No flash available, and Lemon Nation picking up the kill there onto Yellow Star.
The timely gank. Meteos had actually been getting a bit away from his efficient playstyle by camping top a little bit too predictably. That time, after sweeping the bottom of the jungle, he makes way straight into the bot lane, gets a kill, and they might try this dragon though. The Dragon Steel Master is waiting though. 5 versus 4. Rightly pointed out that Cyanide at the backside of Dragon here is always going to be a threat. They've got a ward there for Fnatic, so Cyanide sees it. Here comes the teleport. Cloud9 looking to move away. They manage to bind up Rekkles. That stops the full chase coming in. Well, there is the dive right from the top. So in the middle of the team, Sneaky doing good damage back. Lemon Nation going low. He will fall in the end, but they may lose 2 men. There's a big shockwave coming out in the end from Peke. Have they got any more damage to do here? Peke got plenty of mana still to work with. The damage is good, but it's not enough for kills. Remember, Joe, that was actually a 4v5, so even though Fnatic took 2 deaths, that's not a huge loss for them. Look at how many summoner spells they actually burned on the other side. Flash Exhaust from Lemon Nation, Flash Ignite from Link. They're going to have that advantage come next fight, plus they get the turret afterwards. All things considered, the fans are cheering. That was a Fnatic win.
Here we go then. There is a replay once again. Could have been a lot worse if Rekkles hadn't got binded. Yeah,
it really looked right here like Fnatic was in a lot of trouble, but the support from the rest of Fnatic coming in from the bottom of the screen, the ultimate from Rekkles, and then the brilliant shockwave catching 3. The Elise was up in the air, but really doing enough damage and pushing them back is what saved them in that one.
And that leaves us with a 3-2 in kills, still in favor of Cloud9. The gold lead sticks with Fnatic. Dragon, of course, in all of that, wasn't taken down. So Fnatic, as you mentioned, it was a 5 versus 4. Not only were they able to stop the Dragon attempt from Cloud9, well, they picked themselves up a kill there in the end as well. We'll see, though, who goes towards this Dragon and at what point, with both duos now having both of their champions in this bottom lane once again. We do have Cyanide moving down. Meteos is moving in there as well, so we might not be too far away from an encounter there.
Yeah, a binding lands in that bot lane, and they're going to start destroying each other. The Dragon is still getting pulled on. This time the top laners can't be involved, and it would be a 4v4. They actually go in without sweeping because they are feeling this much more confident in this fight. Whether it's blind confidence or not, I'm not quite sure. They have to back away.
Well, we see the Fnatic gonna jump in from this one. Lemon Nation goes very, very low. There is a shockwave. Lemon Nation gets away, but Rekkles is pushing through. Cyanide stealthing in there as well. Have they got the damage? Yes, they will. Cyanide gets one. He finished off by Sneaky though. Peke wants more, and he may just get more here. Meteos goes down. Are they gonna go for anyone else? Lemon Nation still very low there at the back. They didn't get it in the end, but it's a 2-for-1 for Fnatic.
Really great charge there by Fnatic, having the confidence with the shockwave. fan chants coming in, and now they have a chance to control the Dragon. High's going to think about this one, but then think better. Look at the size of that.
Full house here today in Paris, and, well, see if that brings Fnatic any luck. Of course, already losing their first game against OMG earlier on in the day. This one starting off much better for them, though. We see that they now control a 2,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and Soaz has to go back right now. I wonder if Balls are going to push up and try and get a turret. You can see the amount of gold he is sitting on was about 2,200, and this whole time that 4v4 was happening in the bottom lane, he's been down a completed item. It's a Blade of the Ruined King on Balls versus just the Cutlass for Soaz, and that means he loses out in the majority of these trades. He still hasn't had the window to go back, so if a fight erupts up here, it could actually go in the hands of Cloud9 just because of the amount of gold in inventory.
Well, this could be dangerous for him. Meteos moving again towards his top lane. He's tried time after time to really lock Soaz down. Of course, they were baited into that fight further to give the first blood over towards Cyanide, who is now sat at 3-2-1. Picked himself up a Hex Drinker as well. There is Soaz moving out. Meteos is still waiting in there, and there is a position. Another Cocoon lands. Soaz going to take a lot of damage, but again has the safety of his ultimate to get back into tower range.
Cloud9 does this a lot. That was round 1 to burn the ultimate. They still have the ultimate of Trundle if they want to tank this turret. They're really considering it, but Soaz does a spectacular job to clear the wave.
Wave cleared, and there is his window to actually go back and spend some of that hard-earned cash. Still behind in CS, has brought it back to a more respectable level than it was. We see there the Blade of the Ruined King actually finished off for him. Meanwhile, Fnatic pressure in the bottom lane.
And things are looking great for Fnatic right now. The turret is low. Wow, Peke actually beat Link to the spot.
And there is a Black Shield timing out, and they dive straight onto Sneaky. Good wild growth though coming in. Cyanide's in the middle of them. It's Peke that gets the kill onto Sneaky. Lemon Nation trying to run away. Again lands a clutch binding this time onto Cyanide to stop him chasing through.
Kill and the turret. Peke is obliterating the Cloud9 team right now with the timing of his shockwaves and the movement from mid lane. He got the CS advantage. Now he's winning other lanes for him. There's a fight breaking out.
Yellow Star going very, very low from that one. Crowd loving it at this point. The blue buff going to be contested, but here comes Meteos from the backside. Fnatic are very, very low in this one. Cyanide goes low, jumps away from it, doesn't get the slow. Meteos dodges that one completely with a repel, and that is going to be a kill.
Oh man, they got the rest of Fnatic corner.
Completely sandwiched in between Cloud9
and the teleport.
TP from Balls is coming in as well. Reckless trying to stay alive as long as he can. Peke might get a kill here. Reckless actually takes down Link. They do finally finish off Peke, but Reckless is the next target. Meanwhile, Meteos going low. Soaz is trying to get that kill, does get that kill as well. 3 for 2 right now. They are going to lose Soaz. That ends with a 4 for 2 in favor of Cloud9.
What a bloodbath right there. You can definitely say Fnatic overstayed their welcome because Sneaky actually came all the way back from the death, returned to the fight just for the cleanup. Let's take another look at this one, how low Fnatic is. It was really just the movement from Meteos to cut in and corner here. Cloud9 loves the combo of the stun from Elise and the dark binding because it allows them to lock down targets and cut off areas of retreat. The binding is actually what pushed the 3 members of Fnatic back towards the lane. Therefore, Meteos could cut them off from the other side. When the double TPs came in, this just ensured the bloodbath because it meant both teams were trying to commit. At this point, Fnatic can't think about how bad a position they are in with Twitch returning, and Twitch finishes the job onto Soaz. Luckily, he could pick up that kill on Meteos.
Yeah, taking something for... Well, not really for nothing, was it, when it's a 4 for 2, but yeah, at least getting it on the way out there, knowing that he's facing a certain death. Where does that leave us? Still, Cloud9 hold a slight lead when it comes to kill, but they are still behind in gold. About 1,500 now, so that difference of 2,000 just a couple of minutes ago is closing somewhat for Cloud9. One worry you've got to feel is Peke, even though in that situation there he was super low the entire time, he's putting out so much damage already.
Exactly, he's 1,000 gold ahead of what Link has, and his death cap is going to be completed fairly quickly. Cloud9 doesn't even have a very high damage team with the Lulu mid, so they got to be very careful that Peke's shields don't get too powerful. Plus they got the buff invade pressure to get the turret.
Red buff steal, Paul sticking around here with 2 men right in front of him, the other 3 from Fnatic off to the side. Don't really want to go for that Trundle though, the tankiest man over on the Cloud9 team. And Cloud9 making a bit of a positional play here, knowing that Fnatic are on that top side of the map. They push 3 men towards this middle outer turret.
This is the moment of the game where Cloud9 was best in North America, but how are they going to be with Link here, making the calls and trying to get them to move around? They're already down 3 turrets to 1, so that puts them at an immediate disadvantage. How are they going to adapt to a team like fnatic, who is so brilliant in their rotations with wards and getting picks?
See Soaz and Balls, that matchup, they're not really, or shouldn't really be killing each other without any outside help from that one. Lemon Nation was trying to get involved, but Soaz had already pretty much just ran away with the help of that Blade of the Ruin King. So back to a quieter period now, but we have less than a minute until the next dragon comes into play. Last one, of course, went over to fnatic after Cloud9 had started it off a couple of times.
And I'm really curious about what's going to happen at this next dragon, because Cloud9 is behind in turrets right now, and they are pretty sure fnatic's going to be going for the dragon. I wouldn't be too surprised if Cloud9 tries to almost let fnatic get the dragon so they can push the mid turret. In order for fnatic to counter that, though, it's all about how strong Peke is and how much pressure he can put on Link. If they can keep that mid turret wave pushed into the interior turret of Cloud9, they can take Dragon without the minions pushing down the mid turret and have their cake and eat it too, basically, because they would be a little bit stronger in the Dragon fight.
So only 10 seconds then for that one. fnatic a little bit more spread out from this one, as we see the Twin Shadows coming out there. Actually picked up for Lemon Nation. We did see that item being picked up by him in the playoffs as well over in North America. Really likes that one. fnatic are in the better position right now. They've got a couple of wards down there, trying to get a few more in as well. They've got a decent amount of vision over where Cloud9 are approaching.
I mean, Lemon would have loved to have a Twin Shadows into a Dark Binding because it makes the skill almost unmissable, but it's already burned. And fnatic's actually the one that's doing the turret pressure instead of the Dragon, kind of beating Cloud9 to the punch here, pulling Cloud9 away from their own jungle and maybe catching them in the corridor.
Sneaky moving, stealthed up around the back so that he could get into a safe position to clear out that wave. And look at this, Cloud9 moving forward, scanning as they go, getting 2 wards for 1 really.
That is
with that
such
one.
a dangerous spot.
Yeah, they've caught Link completely out of position. He's going to use the wild growth on himself, but honestly, I'm not sure that he'll get away. There is the Black Shield coming in. Cyanide still chasing, and while I'm wrong on that one, Link will get away from it, but that leaves a 5v4 now for fnatic at Dragon.
He'll get away, but it completely cost them the Dragon. fnatic had already put Cloud9 in a difficult situation, trapping them in that corridor, because anytime they want to move down and around and try and get vision control back, they're at risk of having someone getting caught out. They're lucky it wasn't a kill and the Dragon, that it was just the Dragon, but it's still a loss.
Guys, already on the analysis desk did say earlier on that things have to change with Dragon control. Sneaky gonna come in for this one. Flash there from Peke. We'll get him away quick enough. Lost about half of his HP, but we'll be able to just run back from this one. Does have his death cap back there. Death cap now finished.
The shield helped him stay alive, but that move right there by Sneaky is why Twitch is such a strong champion internationally. He wasn't really picked up by North America during the season, but that's why Sneaky has him now. Even in the mid-game, there's always that threat that he could come up against the most farmed member on the other team, and because he got the drop on him, he burned a flash without really burning much of his own other than his Blade of the Ruin King active.
So Meteos, once again, he's spent almost more time in this top lane than he has farming his jungle, I think, or what it seems like at this stage of things. The question is, are they feel comfortable enough to go under the tower? Doesn't look like it. We already see the recall being used there by Meteos. He's just going to go back away from it. So as we should mention, that CS difference, that lead that Balls has had pretty much the entire game here still stands. 214 to 189 CS. You can see that he's actually working himself up here, Balls, towards that Randuin's Omen. On the other side of things, Soaz actually got himself the workings of a Guardian Angel.
He has the 2 components to it. That would be a curious choice for him. I hope he's just going for different components of items. The Randuin's maybe with his Chain Vest or a Sunfire Cape, and then a Spirit Fist or a Banshee's Veil with the other one. He's just getting those components right now. As far as teamfighting is concerned for Soaz, though, he's got to be really careful about himself. I know Dyrus had a horrendous series against Cloud9, where it seemed like he was stunned the whole time. Basically because, teleport coming in from Cloud9, actually. They might try and stop this invade.
Oh, Reckless has just dashed over the wall. Actually, they decide to focus towards Peke. This is a 5 versus 1. He's not going to be taken down easily, though. Does damage over towards Sneaky, but Link will finish off that one. In the end, I thought they might head for Reckless as he dashed towards the TP, but, well, Peke all isolated on the top side. Just a bit of dodgy position in there.
They were trying to greedily take away that blue buff, and it ends up costing them another death onto Peke. But it's the stun from Elise and the Dark Binding from Morgana that can keep front lines at bay, which is why the Mercury Treads are such an important purchase for Soaz. That's something Dyrus did not do in the finals against Cloud9.
So I see him waiting off to the side, and we can see that he does have now the more Randuin's direction completed.
Yep.
I was interested to see where he go with that one, and that confirms it for us. That turret here down way low and will be finished off this push by Cloud9. That's their second of the game so far.
And Balls is going to become a monster. The more Soaz tries to tank up to be the front line that eats all the crowd control, the tankier he is going to make Balls when he uses the ultimate on him and just steals his armor and magic resistance. Already 2-0-4. The solo lanes and the damage dealers for Cloud9 are actually doing very well, enough to make me say I do not know who's going to win this game despite Fnatic's gold.
See a lot of wards coming down over by Baron there as well. In fact, Fnatic with that have actually started to move up here. He comes sneaky from the side. They're going to try and single him out. Actually, we'll have to flash away from this one, and in the end, the lifesteal really helping him to stay alive from that. Dangerous for Fnatic at the start. Good reactions from Soaz to push him away, though.
Some risky business by Sneaky there, but Soaz had the right read. Twitch forces you into very split decisions right there. He jumps up on you, and he's using that spray and pray, or rat-a-tat. Still, I'm not sold on that name change, but it's one or the other. You have to make the decision immediately, and Soaz decided the right one to go in instead of out. Otherwise, they would have just gotten a bunch of free damage out of it.
So back off from both teams here as we go out to spend on a few different items. Randuin's done 4 balls. See where he goes after that one. Currently having a bit of a free reign on this top. That 20 CS lead, and I keep harping on around, really has stuck for this entire game. And now, with that extra armor in there, will he go more aggressive? And Sneaky gonna pop up here on towards Reckless, but actually, Reckless turns this one around. Can they get the shockwave onto him? No, they can't. Sneaky sped up there by Link.
Yeah, Sinai might actually look to make something happen here. But what's so slick here is normally when Twitch goes in, he's very much fully committed because he used all his move speed, he's revealed his stealth, and he shoots you. But because they have the Lulu here that can give him move speed, if it doesn't work, he can actually retreat as well, which makes him an even more formidable weapon for Cloud9 against Fnatic here.
So there, a bit of a support battle as Lemonation said, okay, you want to clear my ward? Here's Baron aggro for you. Take a couple of hits from that one. Cloud9 themselves moving in here and getting the better of that pink ward, so saving their ward in the backside. Everyone around.
They go.
Baron, they're going to get a shockwave off here, surely. Cyanide tries to get in. Good binding, gets slowed down, and he may be forced to back away from this one. All the CC landing at once.
Yeah, and it's a real push-pull here. Soaz wanted to flank, but they couldn't close in from both positions. They might keep doing this dance.
40 seconds till Dragon comes up, which we may see one team move for, but right now Fnatic have decided, is that middle lane maybe where we want to go for Meteos around the back, may get caught out, flashes away, Cyanide dives in, Meteos already using his rappel to get over into the raid camp though.
Fnatic keeps catching Cloud9 in tricky positions and Cloud9 keeps barely escaping, but then the question is, what does that really cost him? Now Meteos can't try the flank because his flash is down, whereas Fnatic really didn't burn much.
Blast back there from Yellow Star. Landing the shots onto Lemon Nation. So Dragon, after that bit of action by Baron, is certainly the more realistic target here as we approach the 30-minute mark in this game between the two champion teams of the North American and European LCS. Fnatic are there. Cloud9 not so much though, they're coming now.
There's pretty much no vision control by Cloud9 here. It was dangerous for them to even walk this far and check it. It means they really value this Dragon overall and want the fight. Balls is actually closer here because his teleport isn't up, but their top turret is taking fire. They have to go for the Dragon almost immediately, otherwise they lose turrets.
Make the decision. Cloud9 need to choose what they're going to do with this one. Actually, Soaz has started to back away there.
Keep going.
Teleport is available. You'd think he's going to keep going. He has moved back on towards the tower, which is at about half HP. Fnatic just stalling here down by Dragon.
It's such a great position for Fnatic to be in. They either make Cloud9 walk into a shockwave, or they get free turrets. Cloud9 has to walk in.
Cloud9 actually pushing Fnatic back with the zoning power of Xpeke alone here with the threat of that shockwave could keep them off.
Cloud9 is taking so much harass damage from that Orianna ball, and the Dragon is still low. There's a shockwave onto one, though. This means Cloud9 could get the Dragon or fight. They have to do it soon.
And there is the Dragon picked up by Cloud9. That top turret, though, has gone down. So as they made the decision there, let's take that trade, try and keep them off the Dragon. Didn't quite work out as planned, but that tower has gone down in Fnatic's favor. We're still at around 1,500 gold separating these two teams. Neither of them being able to make any real headway when it comes to either getting that lead back from Cloud9 side or Fnatic getting a bigger lead.
And the thing with that trade for Fnatic is, even though the Dragon was worth a lot of gold and clearly Cloud9 valued it, Fnatic got to make a trade that now Cloud9 can't make again. It was a top turret for a Dragon objective. Since they've now pushed it to the inhibitor, if they do that again, it's not a trade Cloud9's going to opt into. Overall, once again, that is a very slightly better trade for fnatic.
And we saw some pings going down onto the top lane outer turret there. Basically free pot of gold for Cloud9 at this point. Put a couple of men onto that one. We'll see if they can take that down. Yellow Star still commanding position around the Baron area. Again, the Ghost just sent out by Lemon Nation just to scout around. One of them does find Yellow Star hiding inside of the brush, and that gives Cloud9 now the better position on Baron and allows them to continue with this yo-yo game of clearing wards out.
And I gotta say, Cloud9's actually staying together pretty well when you consider that their shot caller is missing. Stuck back in North America high, unfortunately, with his health problems. Could not make the trip, which is why Link is here. And they've been desperately practicing, trying to get Link as vocal as High was, since he is a shot caller. But CLG uses a dual shot calling system, and really, that's not the way Cloud9 has rolled for most of the season. He's got his items now with the completed Void Staff onto Lulu. He's very powerful. The team itself is only 2 turrets behind. They're 1,000 gold behind. They're longtime rivals who have more often than not come out on top against them. And they're in position to at least win this game at 32 minutes. It's very close.
That's right. I was talking about that they were pinging earlier. Part of the reason why that gold has come back a little bit for Cloud9 was Balls simply walked into that one and took it down without too many problems whatsoever. And again, both teams moving back, and we'll continue with this dance around Baron where lots of wards being cleared out and replaced already. There's one still for fnatic at the mouth of the Baron pit there, though. We'll see where that gets switched out. Good time to maybe take a look at a couple of items here, and want to look back to our AD carries in the featured matchup. We see that both of them actually picking up Phantom Dancer and Last Whisper. The difference, of course, is that Blade of the Ruined King Bloodthirst.
And this is actually the point in the game, Joe, where Twitch becomes much more powerful than Graves. Obviously, it is position-based for AD carries, as it always is, but just with the stealth and that rat-a-tat-tat to hit almost every target on fnatic, Twitch is better right now, if they can force a fight.
TP coming in from Balls. fnatic had already seen that one coming and decided we should back away as the Twin Shadows come in there. The Ghost coming around. Sneaky is in the middle. He's going to get the slow off onto Xpeke, but fnatic have replied and, you know, moved themselves back to that inner turret in mid lane fast enough that they weren't risking moving through that tight avenue to try and get involved.
It's all about vision control trading here at the Baron area. Both teams trying to kind of catch each other in corridors. Both teams have tremendous amount of AoE burst if they really land the right stuff. Cloud9 on the side would be a Twitch AoEing with Lulu's Glitter Lances, whereas fnatic is even more so. Dragon, Shockwave, and the Graves AoE would just obliterate Cloud9. That's why these tight moves around the Baron pit are so valuable, and getting a team pushed back into their turret to get vision control is a constant swing of momentum.
Oh, need to be a little careful here. Actually sidestep from Peke away from the Dark Binding of Lemon Nation. Just want to point out Peke's build while we're talking about him. Double blasting one here. Just showing us that he wants that extra power right now and can't afford to wait. Ball's actually catching out Yellow Star here. This could be a little bit dangerous. Cyanide's coming from the top. Are they realistically going to take out Trundle? I don't think so. The teleport will come around for Soaz. Actually cancelled there in the end. Ooh. But now Cloud9 managed to lock up one. Yellow Star's the squishiest target on the entire team, and Ball right up there in front of him. Throws down his pillar. They can't take Peke. Well, this is Shockwave territory. They landed as well. Meteos is going to go low. Can they finish him off? He's going to rappel out of there, and now it's Cloud9 turning around and chasing.
And fnatic is still pushing with Soaz. They have not suffered a casualty yet. This is a huge move for fnatic.
Lemon Nation going low. Peke actually going to stop them from recalling on this one. Balls also just trying to keep them from pushing back in. Xpeke going to go low. They actually can finish him off there. Link is going to go towards Reckless now as well. He goes down. Lemon Nation got that kill. We have seen Meteos come back in. He's actually stopping now the push from Cyanide. From Soaz in there, but Cloud9 are going to get the inner tower.
They have burned so much to get those few kills. Now, how do they capitalize? There are 2 main damage dealers down on fnatic's side and a 3rd stuck away. They're going straight for that inhibitor.
This trade will be a happy one for Cloud9, getting the kill advantage, stopping Soaz, and going a step further than Soaz in that bottom lane by taking the middle lane inhibitor. We've got 30 seconds to Dragon, still 20 seconds until Peke and Reckless come up. Cloud9 are headed towards Baron here.
It's because it's still a 5v3, and the teleport, remember, was cancelled by Soaz, so he can't make it in a position. Cloud9 could burn this Baron down before fnatic even makes it into the rage. They might try, though. Oh, Cyanide is there. His ultimate's up, so he can come in stealth.
He's going to surely come in stealth from this one, but have they got the vision in there? No, Cloud9 secure that one. It's Meteos that will finish off with the smite. Nice fluid calling here from Cloud9. This was a big question mark about them, but we see how efficiently they've pulled off that move, the sweep up towards Baron.
Exactly, because that was an example of Fnatic pushing Cloud9 to the absolute limit. They forced them into multiple team-based decisions, and Cloud9 ended up making it work. But they might be sticking around here with the Dragon up because they had to clear super minions. Fnatic might be able to rush this Dragon down. It's Cloud9 trying to make it in for a team fight, because if they get another one, they could end the game.
And they're moving in en masse here. Sneaky, you can see, trying to get in position from that one. Dragon is very low. It is going to be Fnatic to get that one, but will they want to fight? Surely not. Soaz even using his ultimate to go away, but they've gone towards Peke. Shockwave on the backside, but Peke is going to go down. And now Soaz being the target. He is the tanky one, but he's being chased very efficiently. Binding just whisking by. Didn't quite land onto Soaz. They're going to go up though onto Yellow Star, who's basically the sacrificial lamb there, trying to draw the AD carry away. It worked, but 2 men are down. Cloud9 might make a choice to keep pushing.
Incredibly dangerous move there by Fnatic to get that Dragon, because they lose a lot of shielding right here. Balls is incredibly tanky. Look at the armor. He can tank this turret. They might go for the win in the face of Fnatic.
They're going to go for it here, and the first Nexus turret has already gone down. Balls says, I don't care about you guys. I want the turrets. They're going to take the second one. They turn around for the fight, killing off Cyanide. Soaz won't even be focused. They want the Nexus here. Reckless is trying to hammer away on Balls.